What I want to do is wildly speculate what was going on in this dude's mind.
I don't know. Ask DJ what it's like. He peed on himself just a couple weeks ago.
In the truck?
Yeah,
Peed on yourself in the truck, not a race.
It was a wet spot like this.
Yeah, let me just tell you.
What on earth?
Let me just give you the rundown.
I encourage y'all to try to take this from me.
Like that.
60 Dustin's checkers the record style in a 12-hour race.
All right, let's get going in 3, 2, 1.
All right, so here we go, boys. Our first run at a podcast. I figured we do enough crazy stuff. We travel enough. We tear enough stuff up. That was about time to get this thing going. And I can't think of a more appropriate one to start with than after this past crazy weekend at TexPlex.
Long day.
So I wasn't there. Y'all gonna have to fill me in. I had to do work.
So the gist of it is 12-hour race, TexPlex Park, huge payouts. Surprisingly brought some super fast dudes out to come race this race.
Yeah, I brought a lot of the fastest guys from all around the country, all kind of different disciplines of racing to run for 12 hours straight. So, I mean, that's the challenge in and of itself right there, running 12 hours and making it to the end.
And a lot of those
something running.
A lot of those dudes haven't raced a race like this, and so it was crazy for them. But then you get out there, like, TexPlex is generally a short course track and, like, super fast, good berms, and you throw a car in. And then you get out there, and freaking Van Beekum brings his full-on desert car on a set of 35s to try to run a 12-hour, more or less short course race. I didn't see the track.
He wasn't the only one. There was, like, 3 full-blown desert cars with, like, best in the desert numbers on them.
Yeah.
Like, 14-foot. It was tight on some of those 2-seat cars. Like, I don't know how they were squeezing through those woods.
Wasn't that y'all's plan though originally as well, to possibly race the desert car?
I know I'm not putting them dudes down. We were going to, but ours is a 2-seater, so I feel like it would have been a little more manageable out there, and we could have let it down on the ground and put some shortened shocks on it and stuff to make it work. But yeah, Van Beekum was out there. I know Alex Nichols was out there in his 4-door.
Yes.
There was a dude out there. I don't even know who it was. Logan, you probably do. But he called his car Moby Dick online. And so it was this X3 that was twice as long as this room that he
I remember seeing that. That was the one you were talking about that
Yes.
said looked like ours from the back. And then there was that 2-seat X3 that was at our shop forever.
Yep, that one.
Oh, yeah.
There was a Wildcat desert car out there that runs
I didn't see
unlimited
that
class. But those dudes were not afraid to throw those cars around on short course or any other part of the track.
And I think that long X3 actually made it to finish. Like, he was running a good part of the day, if not the whole day.
That was a big part of it. So how many cars started and how many finished?
So the start in general was crazy. How many was it start?
65 started.
60.
60? 60.
In
I
a-
think 60.
In a land rush?
More or less a land rush, so the format was really freaking sweet in my mind. So D was running with some sponsored S3 racers, Jubal and Rachel Cheatwood, in a little naturally aspirated X3 900. But it was either sportsman class or pro class. Like, didn't matter, run what you freaking brung, show up and run what you got. And so they started them up in basically the flying V. Every car lined up 30 on each side. And so we didn't know this till we got there, but it was, I guess, what you would consider a Le Mans style start, where somebody on the team has to take the key, start 100 yards away from the car, well, from the back car, and it was a full-on sprint all the way to your car. Hand the key to the co-driver or driver. They put it in, they start off, and then the race starts. And so some dudes literally, from starting line, took 3 steps and handed it to their driver because they were the first one on the row. Second one, freaking Dustin and Jewel drew 30th or
35th.
Yeah, so they're all but the very back row. When there's 30 cars on the back row, like, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, bro, they're almost to the end.
So 30 is at the front.
No, it was 1, 2,
1, 2,
3, 4, and so like 30th is back here in the back left, or 35th.
Gotcha.
Dude, you're so far away. I'm like, Rachel, which one is DJ?
That's what I meant. Last straw 30th was you had to run the furthest.
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir.
Which separated the cars out. So the first 2 got their keys quick. They took off. But it's dead engine start, too. So,
But it's
somebody that's 10th gets their key and can't get their car to start, and somebody that's 25th gets their key and their car starts right up, and they take off. They might get in front of the 10th place car.
Did anybody come close to getting run over by being the furthest to run and the earliest car to start?
No, to be honest, I think Blake, what's his last name?
Gustin.
Did a really good job of setting it up. So, like, when we broke off, we had to be in between the cars, in between the face of the cars. So, like, they blow the horn, we take off running. The first guy splits left, but we've already made that progress. The second car splits off, We've already made that progress. So, like, it worked perfect. You hand your guy your key and you step behind the car. Like, it was no problems. Everybody got off clean.
Dude, that's super sweet. I've always heard the term Le Mans start, but I didn't know it was like that.
Dude, it was sweet unless you had to run the key, which I had to because I didn't realize what Rona quarantine had done to me until I had to go full sprint.
How'd you even get nominated for that?
Well, originally it was
Between you and Jubal?
yeah.
It was self-nomination is what it
No
was. He
brainer.
was like, I got my chucks on. I got my
wouldn't-
shorts on. It's 20 degrees outside. I'm running the key.
Bro, it wasn't self-nomination. The option was let Jubal run in coveralls with a bum knee, and I think he's got 2 broke Achilles tendons or something like
And
that.
he
from it.
had boots on, too, like steel-toe work boots on.
Yeah, the
so he
ground would
wasn't
have been
running.
shaking when he was running.
yeah.
Why didn't we get Shane to run the key?
That's what I said.
Bro, he would have outran everybody.
That's what I said. That's the fastest dude on 2 feet.
I've still yet to see him foot race anybody.
Because I've raced him twice, and I cannot outrun him.
Landon, Dustin's brother, is fast, and he smoked Landon one time.
Shane can run, dude, and you would never think it. He's a little docile and, like, never get... That dude can run. That's who we should have had running for us.
know.
And he
I
was
don't know
there
why.
that day.
Were you running like as fast as you could?
Hard as I could. That's literally all that I had.
You was in bind afterwards?
The problem is, dude, like if you ever going rock crawling and you get to like a nasty obstacle, we did the hot tub, and like when you're sitting at it, you backed out of it
We did the hot. No, you did the hot tub. Yeah, I backed out.
because when you watch it on video, you're like, man, that's not nothing. So, bro, when they blew that horn, I thought I was full skint back because stepping and fetching across that field, and then I watched Josh's video. Bro, I felt bad for myself. you
Bro, I
know?
was videoing him, and I'm like, oh, yeah, DJ's got this. And I'm zoomed in on his face, and probably 3/4 of the way to the car, he's looking around like panic, like, oh, God, I'm going to run over or I'm going to get tripped. But this is so far away.
There was one kid on the far inside closest to us that freaking burned him.
No,
Oh, yeah.
no, he didn't. He didn't.
Orange shirt.
Everybody burned him.
You got hole shotted?
No.
The whole problem was, you got a line of 100 or 50 yards wide of
Okay.
people. Well, DJ is number 60 down the line this way, and the car's on this side of the thing, so he's got to go 150 yards instead of running from the side where it's only 100 yards.
So dumb.
I was about to say, hold on. This is where D would criticize somebody. Why did you line up over there?
His tactics were not good.
Bro, it's like when you get out to the play yard and you're playing Red Rover, like you line up by your buddies. You know what I mean? Because you know you got locked. Well, I seen Nick and them hanging out on the far end, and whenever they were about to blow the horn, I realized, like, oh, dang, Nick's just going right there, and I got to go all the way diagonal across this field. So then I felt like a freaking idiot because I was over there hanging out with my friends when they blew the horn. So I'm trying to cut through the crowd, like
Tearing through a school hall on the way to class?
Yes,
like you hung out at someone's locker too
Bro,
long?
straight diagonal across the crowd, tripping people up, and yeah, we didn't get a great start. I'll be honest with you. My strategy was not the best. I probably should have just let Jubal have it.
I will give it to you there. You were juking and jiving.
I had some hurdles to overcome.
And the reason I asked if you were running as hard as you could because it seemed like it took forever for you to get to us. Like I don't know if it was because everything's like way slowed down when like your adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah, when
and
you're ready to
stuff.
race.
But I remember Rachel was like, "Oh, here he comes!" And I'm like, "All right, he's still like a long ways away."
And the thing is, like, you're 50 yards from where you started, and there's already 20 cars taking off.
You hear them behind
Motors
Oh,
cranking,
yeah.
and they're running.
Yeah.
So your anxiety gets up and your head starts getting over your heels, bro, and you can't run fast enough to get the key over there.
Dude,
you. You
that-
thought you was going just for pit crew and it ended up being a part of the race.
Oh yes, sir. I had to go take a nap after that for at least 45 minutes before the car. I could go back. I couldn't take it.
one of the videos, like after he drops the key off, like he kind of throws his arms up, like he just did something major, like he just won the race.
I was nodding to people in the crowd like, y'all saw that, huh? Y'all saw what I just did? Oh. Dude, but this is one of the craziest things that happened. So, like, we did that Le Mans South Start. A little RS1 blows the belt. It didn't make it. Did you see that car?
Yeah, it made it probably 20 yards from where they lined up to take off
And
running.
blew the belt?
Literally made it 20 yards. But it was so cold outside. It was like 39 degrees. And they're going from full cold to on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But, dude, she didn't make it 25 yards and blew the belt. So, we were out there hanging out, whatever. She finally got it back going. Me and Blake were over there talking. We kind of walked back to the gate. So I was just chilling at the gate, waiting on the first lap to come through. Well, the first lap guys started coming through, but one of the guys had to pull off and take a pit. And so it was a real short pit. I don't know, maybe something wrong with the car, but they pulled right back out and pulled up to me, which was right by the starting line. It was where we started. And so he pulls out onto the track, and he's looking at me. He's like, do I go this way or do I go this way? I looked around like, bro, you literally just started the race 1 lap ago and you was sitting right here. You go back the same way that you started. And so I thought,
We say that, dude. That's something I heard about something that happened in the race, and I'll maybe let y'all get to that. But you get disoriented, and if you look at it outside the race course, you're like, how'd they mess it up? But I've been in the race car and driven way off track, or been navigating in less stress and still told us to go the wrong way off the track. So I don't know, man. That's always a tricky thing.
I guess, and that's was leading me. The next thing that was probably has to be the craziest thing of the race is like that dude came in there first lap. I thought, what on earth is wrong with this dude asking me which direction do I go? Just go the direction you started the race. So like we walked off, we're chilling, hanging out. 4 laps in, another car has to pit, and we're all just kind of standing around chilling. Pulls up to that gate to re-enter the track and freaking puts it on the floor, driving up track, dude. And
With 60 cars on the track.
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. Full freaking tilt.
Yeah, they were so spread out. Like, there'd be periods of time where 5 minutes you wouldn't see a car come by.
And
So,
how long was the track? Did they tell?
It was like, I think what'd you measure?
14 miles, yeah.
14
So
miles.
big
So big track, 60 cars, and they all took off together. It's not like they took off in 30-second increments to where they're pretty spread out. Like,
Right.
they were packed up for a while. But, yeah, that car came out the pits, took off backwards down the track. And I think the biggest thing is, us, we've been to TexPlex, so we know the course. We know, okay, this is obviously the right direction to go. But guys that from out of town, they've never even seen the course, and they only had poker run to see it. So if they only ran 1 or 2 laps, maybe 3, I could see where they get
So it's
disoriented.
easy. That's what I'm saying. The pits normally run parallel with like the direction you came in, so the pit wasn't set up that way, really.
It's teed straight into the track, but it was the whole shot line where it teed into. So it was like, you can't really mess this up. You look, I started right there, turn right, go to the track.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I see what you're saying, Logan. Like if you never raced TexPlex before, and especially a format like that, like I can see how it'd be confusing because you exit the pit and you're looking at
Down
you
the
go
track.
straight and you're looking down the track, but it's the wrong way.
Yep.
To go the right way, you have to realize like
What's around
where
you?
you started, where you started from, and it's to the left, which means you got to take a hard right.
Yeah.
Dude, which I guess is easy to be critical because me and you, whenever we were racing Glen Helen, and like the first lap, those people wrecked, and we came around in the lead, didn't know. So they like directed us kind of off the track to take a right. And so we cut off a little section of the track that zigzagged, and when we hit back on the track, I was so freaking turned around. Like I didn't know which way to go. And we had just made some, made a lap on the track. Like I knew what the track was. So I get it. So you probably get a little disoriented. What I want to do is wildly speculate what was going on in this dude's mind. And he hit one of our buddies head on, right?
Yep. Yeah, Elliott Cook.
Probably the most beautiful Honda
Brand
Talon
new
I've ever seen.
Talon build. Bad to the bone Talon.
It's a clean car,
Yeah.
too. But they're both tilted back, come around the corner and see hit each other and hit head on. And I'm trying to figure out, just wildly speculating, what was going through these two dudes' mind when they come around this corner.
I
And
already know.
Go on.
Whole bunch of cuss words. And afterwards, probably some fighting words.
Oh, yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot of...
Can you imagine?
Yeah. There's a lot of pistol fingering going on. But if it was me, in either car, I'd have been like, oh, my God, I'm going the wrong direction. Like,
That's
even
what-
Elliott,
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
have thought I'd been going the wrong direction.
That's exactly what I've thought. Because can you imagine coming around and Elliott, like, you're confidently running that track, but you come around, you see cars coming towards us, and you think to yourself, how did I get turned around on this thing?
That's a good point.
It
And he
had
had-
been confusing for both.
And he had to be by himself because otherwise the car that hit him would have seen people coming before him. Well, hopefully he didn't just keep running right by him, but I would think by himself. So Elliott's by himself, this car is by himself, and they just come around a long sweeping turn and destroy those cars.
Who'd Manny hit head on with that one time?
I don't remember.
Cord.
Yes. At World Championships.
We've
Cord.
seen firsthand destruction on head-on hits.
Gosh.
So they get back to the pit. Y'all see this happen or hear about it?
We heard about it because Elliott's car came in on top of a John Deere tractor on the forks of a John Deere, and we were like,
And Elliott's a good driver.
He is a good driver.
And his car it's a beautifully built. It was brand new. So we knew it didn't just fall. It's got air suspension on, so it didn't just fall apart.
Gotcha.
he preps well, and he's a good driver. So for that car to be coming in that soon, I mean, literally, what, an hour and a half in, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
For that car to come in that soon, it's like something catastrophic had to happen.
which is
Man, that
crazy,
sucks.
dude. Crazy. But that, I mean, I guess just when people get so in the zone, dude, like you lose track of a lot of stuff that's going on in some reasoning. So like, even the way the way Blake and them set it up was really slick. It's a really good concept. So you come off the track in one spot, you loop through the pits, and the pits were pretty long, but like it was kind of like it was basically a hot pit, but it cut off a section of the track. The way they laid it out is you come into the pits. By the time, if you do the speed limit, by the time you go through all of the pits and come back out on track, you cut off an area of the short course, but it's about 10 to 15 seconds slower by taking the pit. And the reason is like they're trying to keep everybody going like at the same time competitive. So even when you pit, it doesn't put you that far back when you have a good clean pit stop. Like you jump back on track and you kind of hold in spot.
Okay, cool.
So it's to keep things competitive. But like, dude, it wasn't a lap into the race. You start seeing people coming through the pits, not pitting in their cars. And like if you were trying to just guesstimate how fast they were for sure going over, I think it was a 15 mile an hour.
15.
And I'm not good at telling speed limits, but like I guarantee there was a couple guys doing 20, 22, like scraping that. And they're sitting there having people time. I'm like trying to figure out, is the lap faster?
Are you serious, dude?
Within 2 laps, we were watching the start of the race. So within 2 laps, we're sitting there talking. Me and George with Double E Racing, we're sitting there talking. We're like, why are these guys coming through the pits? Like, there's no reason for that car. We know who was running it. We know how the prep is. We know it's a good car. Why are they coming through the pits on the first lap?
Let's go ahead and name them by name. So we can just get to the bottom of this.
They know who they are.
Logan's finna name y'all out right now. Go ahead,
About
Logan.
to
We'll
lay
let you
about
take this one.
6 of them out real quick. No, I'm just kidding. But, well, I'm not kidding. But they were doing it. So we were trying to like, all right, is it strategy? Do we need to be part of this strategy? Let's start timing. So we got 5 phones out timing everybody.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
With
So
the
Logan-
first lap. I'm not talking about did a whole lap. I'm talking about didn't even run that part of the short course before they pitted. So the first lap, straight into the
Like they
pits.
knew. They looked at the track and were like, hey, I think we can
Yeah,
shave
let's
some time.
shave some time
And they were trying it.
right off the bat.
So all of a
Yep.
sudden you start to see all these cars coming in lap after lap and not pitting.
Every single lap.
And that's what's crazy, which I know you were out there with Rachel for the first like 3 hours or 2.5 hours or something like that. But the first time, a couple of times, like you don't think nothing about it. And the problem is the laps are like 20 minutes apart. So you kind of lose track, like not paying attention, watching everybody race. And you're just like, man, that's that same car in the pits again. Like, I wonder if they're having problems. And you see them in the same pit again, and like they're moving good on track. And you're like, what is going on? And I get it, dude. Like, it's racing. And a lot of people play in that gray area. And maybe you can consider it strategy, but I know Blake didn't set it up to where it could be a competitive advantage to cut through the pits. You know, maybe you can utilize it that way. Maybe there was no rule actually against it, so nobody was breaking the rule. But I know he didn't. He set it up to be competitive to pit, and you don't lose a tremendous amount of time, which I think is a great idea.
So hindsight for sure now, if this was a discussion at the next racer meeting, they would say, hey, guys, you have to stop at your pit and let them at least check the car out or something. Or they're going to change it up. Because like you said, that's not racing.
Or
That's-
what they're going to do is send them back out right where they came in. So you'll pit in one spot, run the pits, and then you'll dump back out. on
Yeah,
the
so
same
it'll be a disadvantage to
Yeah.
pit, which in reality it should be.
Yeah, it
like
should be.
you should only have to go in for fuel. That's part of pitting. Every race series, NASCAR, you don't go into the pit to get through the track quicker. You go in because you have to make a pit, and you usually go a lap down.
I guess it's more like did the Le Mans style race do a repack? You know how they let the race
like a
run a
competition
repack to keep it
caution?
more driver?
They definitely didn't out there, but I mean,
That's kind of the theory or what they were going for.
to keep it a competitive race. That's why they do competition cautions, is to restack. So I get what they're trying to do, but a couple of people were bending the rules a little bit, but still, what was cool is like how many people were helping each other running around out there. Like we pitted for Cody Miller, Hunter Miller, Travis Pointer, and those guys.
Kyle Cheney.
Yeah, you're
Kyle
helping
Cheney.
Cheney
Yeah, we
and Kyle Hart.
you and Jubal and Rachel,
Corey
Cheney
and
Kyle Hart,
Jacob.
Corey and Jacob. So like it was cool, man. Like everybody was running wild. One of the craziest things that happened while we were pitting, dude, and it was so random, is we were pitting Cody Miller. And so he was actually leading for most of the day, doing an amazing job. But he said his car was getting down on power. It was running like 10 miles an hour slower several hours into the race. And so, excuse me.
It's disgusting.
Right towards Logan.
Yeah, right at me.
That tasted like spaghetti. So, anyways, he comes in the pits. Car's running a little warm, and he's got a monitoring system that tells him his air intake temperatures are like 190, and the car starts detuning right there, especially when you're really, really mashing on it. So we ran to my car, pulled a relay out, pulled a fuse out for the fan. He pulls in. Me and Cody Taylor jump in, slide his seat forward. So like Cody Miller sitting on the steering wheel. We're back there jacking with his fuse box. Pull the fuse out. I don't get to look at it because I drop it. Like we're trying to fumble in a hurry to get him back. It wasn't a planned pit stop, so we had to try to get him back out as quick as we could. So I dropped the fuse, so I didn't get to see if it was blown or not. We put my fuse in there anyways. Put it in neutral, rev the car up. The fan wasn't coming on, but I don't know how his tune's set up. You know, the Evolution tune, when you give it like 3% throttle, the fan comes on. Well, it wasn't doing it, so we're like, oh man, there's no way it's working. So we put that in there, put the relay in there just in case, unplug the plug it back in. It was like, all right, we just got to go.
Yeah, but a little bit of credit to you. The backstory on this I heard a little bit about was he's trying to get y'all to diagnose the car over the radio. And everybody's like, we don't know what it could be. And you had this happen before to where it's blown a fuse with the intercooler fan running a lot when you're running the car hard.
Yes.
So you were like, it's probably that. Let's just try this. So that's where that came from, putting the fuse in, right?
Yeah, for sure. We weren't blindly taking a stab at it. Like we had blown fuses before on long races and knew if you go up to a 30 in the intercooler fan, like it would the fan would run all the time and no problems.
What about a paper clip?
Yeah, that or just twist one and just cram it down in there. Is what I like to do. Maybe some tin foil once in a while. So Cody Taylor's helping me from the passenger side. He's leaning. The radios are mounted right on the console, and so he's got his arm on the radio, like fidgeting around. We get everything fixed. Takes back off. I radio to Dustin, just like checking on them, see what's going on. And so I hear Cody Miller. They were on a completely different radio station, and I hear Cody Miller come over our radio, and he says, "Was the fuse blown?" And first, I was super confused, but I had just changed this fuse like 2 minutes ago.
So hold on, you had a headset on?
Yeah.
So you had a headset on, and you were on the pit channel for DH.
With only DH and Jubal and Rachel. That's
Gotcha.
all day. We were the only people on that channel. And then I hear Cody Miller come on. I'm like, what on earth? But he said, was a fuse blown? And so I was like, all right, sure. I mean, he's got to be talking to me. And so,
So you're super confused.
yeah,
at this moment,
but
trying
what
to
is he
figure
doing
out-
on our
Thought it
channel?
was me.
I thought it was D because we had the handheld too, and we're sitting here listening in the pit. We're like, what?
Him too?
What is he talking about? He doesn't even have an intercooler.
What happened was it was after I'd come in for a pit, or maybe y'all radioed me, or like, how's the car feel? I was like, oh man, the clutches don't feel great. Feel like
was.
they're over revving a little bit. And so come through the pits and I take back out, and I don't know, before I got out of radio range, you had radioed and was like, oh, how do the clutches feel or something? And then that's when Cody started talking. And I was like, what on earth is going on? And y'all talked like it was me and you.
Oh, yeah.
But it was you and him
Oh, yeah.
for probably 60 seconds.
Before I figured it all out.
I finally was like, DJ, that ain't me talking.
He's literally walking up and down pit road talking and holding the radio up. And I'm like, what? And I'm listening to the handheld like, what are they talking about? And he's as serious as can be, talking about the fuses, talking about the clutching, just all sorts of stuff.
On y'all's channel, were you driving at this time?
Yeah.
So you concentrating on driving, or were you listening to their conversation?
Both.
Yeah.
But at some point, like, you were like, who is this? This is Dustin Jones. Or he was like, I don't know how to, I don't know how to remember
So,
that.
I realized it was Cody because he said, was a fuse blown? I was like, oh, I'm just going to take a stab in the dark. And I didn't know if it was you, I was just going to lie to you. If it was Cody, I was going to be as honest as I could. So I was like, I don't know, man. We just swapped it and sent you back out. So I was like, either way, like, they'll just keep racing. Who cares? And so he was like, well, I don't know what you did, but this thing's running 100% now. I was like, oh, so it is Cody Miller. I was like, oh, crap. So I ran down his pits. What happened? Whenever Cody Taylor got in there and was helping me change the relay, his arm hit the rugged radio and spun the dial on the radio channels. But it just so happened out of however many channels Rugged has on there,
50, 60, something like that.
Yeah, it spun it and he landed on our channel and we were pitted right beside them. And so when I realized that, like, I ran down there, I was like, Cody Taylor, Miller is on our radio station. Like, I don't know how he got there, but he's on our radio station. And so he's like, all right, well, tell him he's not on the right one. He needs to go to so-and-so. I was like, all right, cool. So I was like, hey, Cody Miller, this is Dustin Jones. And you can tell he was just as confused as me. He said, well, hey, man, what you doing?
It was so funny to hear,
It
dude.
was hilarious.
Bro,
to
just
listen.
super casual.
It was like they just walked up to the bar and they were like, "Hey man, how's it going? What you getting to drink? Nothing. All right, cool."
Except one of those people are in full on race mode.
In first in the
But that's as
race.
casual as could be. Oh, hey man, what you doing?
Bro, he ain't got nothing to worry about. The car just went back to running 100%.
Yeah, bro, he was jacked up, and so he got it swapped to back like just like that, dude. Like I don't know how he reached down on the console while he's race pace, changed it back to their station, and comes on their radio, and I can hear him on their handheld. He's like, "Hey, is this the right channel?" And they were like, "Yeah." You could see everybody was like, "Oh God, thank goodness," because he was leading the race at this point. Like he was getting it.
He said, "What channel are y'all on?" And Dustin told him, he's like, "All right, tell my crew I'm changing radio channels now." and then he clicked over, and that was it. We never heard from him again.
Dude, which was crazy to randomly land on our channel. Because if he landed on anybody else's in the pits,
They wouldn't have, yeah.
They'd have been like, "Oh, he's first place. I ain't telling nobody he's on my channel."
yeah, and or until they got to the next pit stop, like they wouldn't have known. Like they couldn't tell him to swap back,
Yeah.
because he would have never known. He just so happened to land on mine, and I recognized his voice, and so we got him swap back over.
But not before chatting it up.
Yeah, we talked for a little while, just seeing how things was going. You know,
How's the track? How you mom and them?
yeah,
That was
just
it.
the normal questions.
While we're talking about Cody Miller, before I forget, I want to tell y'all this. Do y'all remember? It was the first section when me and Rachel were out, and there was this really gnarly section of like these dugout jumps that where you could end your day there. You could yard sale a car there. And I remembered it from the poker run, but I couldn't remember where it was. So I told Rachel when we started the race, like, we got to be careful this first lap because there's a lot of dangers. I don't exactly remember where they are. So we found that, and we found that section, and I kind of notated the mile marker. I was like, I have to let Jubal know because he's going to come through here hot. Like, if anybody's going to tear the car up, it's going to be Jubal.
He's the one that had to prep it for the
Yes.
most part. He would tear it up.
Yeah. Crazy section, and there was like 3 of them in a row. But, like, you were fine if you stayed to the right. Like, it was smooth as could be.
There was an option to the right.
Yeah, there's an option to the right, but if you went straight, which was weird, it was deceiving. Like, if you looked at it straight on, it just looked like flat ground. And it wasn't until you got close to it that you saw, I don't know, they were dug out probably as tall as this table was. And there were, like, as tall jumps in the middle of it. I remember telling Rachel, I was like, I got to tell Jubal this because he will end our day here. And so I radioed in. I was like, do y'all remember that?
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, Jubal,
Oh, yeah.
mile marker 4. Like, you have to be careful. Stay right. And, matter of fact, on the very first lap, we were following. Do y'all remember that Hogs and Heifers car?
Oh yeah, I
Yep.
saw it out there.
We were following
Only
him.
because we've done some wild things at Hogs.
From a West Coast Hogs and Heifers? They came all the way over?
It
That was
had
one
no
of the- That was
sleeves.
that desert car, wasn't
That
it?
was the Wildcat.
Yeah.
It had no sleeves on it.
Did they have my shirt in the Lost and Found?
Okay, so we go through that section, and I remembered it. So I said, Rachel, go right. He went straight. And did y'all see? This is what made me think about it was the video that Cody Miller posted today.
Lawn
Did
dart
see
in his
it?
car?
I saw it, and I texted him, and I said, "How on earth did you not destroy that car?"
That Arctic Cat did the same thing right in front of us, and it like scared the crap out of Rachel.
Richard Carter did it too, and his Wildcat.
And what happened? What happened? They donkey kick? They get up on the nose, or what happens?
It's like a straight. I don't know. It's probably 4 or 5 foot deep, and it's probably 10 to 12 foot long, and then comes back out the other side.
Yeah.
So there's not
Probably a
enough.
little bit longer than that.
There's no lip on the front side. So if you dive into it, if you're not going slow, you're jumping to the
Encasing the other
to the
side.
upside.
Dude, Cody Miller does this. He flies off of it and car starts to dive, and he literally plants right there, and it sticks until it comes down,
Oh my!
It like
and then he takes off again. Like, I don't know how.
It
Did
like
tear something up.
hit the front tires, I guess, and almost sprung him out until he lands up on top of it and then takes off again.
Like you, I wish we could pull the video up and see it because it is brutal.
yeah,
He hits and comes to a stop.
Yeah,
pull it
it,
up?
had, it had to be
Right.
the first lap because you only make that mistake one time.
first
Yeah.
lap.
You
Yeah.
only make it one time. And what's crazy is he did the poker run.
But he was doing it in the Defender truck with
And-
15 dudes in the
It
back.
don't
hanging
seem
out.
that bad, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but there was 3 of them in the row, and man, we probably passed 3 or 4 or 5 people there because you could keep race pace if you went to the right, but there was people that would still go through it because it was deceiving. You couldn't see it until it was too late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like in
It
an
just looked
open
like
area.
it just looked like an open field, and there was 3 of them in a row, like 2 in a row, and then you do a hard 180, and there was another one right there.
There were some tow up cars out there, huh?
Oh yeah,
And not just there, but all over the track. There was some broke down stuff. Huh?
yeah. Even up to like the very last lap, there were cars flipped over. cars with wheels missing.
Bro, they could have opened a flea market out there. That's the biggest yard sales the most yard sales in one location I ever seen.
It was
Man.
like
It was
within one lap, cars coming
Yeah,
in on skid steers, and then they got rid of the skid steer and they started bringing the John Deere out, big forks, because they had to haul some big cars back to the pits.
Just like if you had 60 Dustins out there driving.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, exactly like that.
60 Dustins, checkers or record style in a 12-hour race.
Checkers or
So I was in the car for, out of the 12 hours, probably almost 10. And the last
Wait, but you're breezing right through that, which was crazy because the plan was you ride with Rachel
Mm-hmm.
to help her mechanic. She was running first to help her mechanic.
Yep.
Good driver.
Yeah. So you co-drive for 3 hours about. You jump out. Jubal drives for 3 hours. Then you jump in by yourself, drive for 3 hours. And then I think Jubal and you were going to finish with Rachel. So you're going to be in the car 3 times, but they were going to be spaced out pretty evenly. But what ended up happening,
Not that.
not.
Not that.
You ride with Rachel. You co-drive with her for 3 hours probably. Jubal jumps in the car and he runs,
2.5. 3
About that,
hours.
yeah. 2.5, almost 3 hours, yeah.
and then it's your turn to drive. And so you jump in there and you run your section. But during your time, you started making up a bunch of positions, and y'all started at like 30 something off. All out of the wad, and y'all had made your way back up to 5th, and you were actually catching the dude in 4th place. Had put like 2 minutes on him in his couple of hours of racing, and so he pulled in the pits thinking he was getting out of the car after his 3-hour drive, and so he pulls in. We'd already told him like, man, maybe you need to keep going, or no, I think you had said if y'all want me to keep going, I'll go.
That was after my second stint.
Oh,
like
yeah.
after I was like a couple minutes away from 4th, I said I got to come in for fuel. Like if y'all want to see me back out, like I'll do it. Because like it honestly didn't even seem like that long. Like I had to pee really really bad, but like I was still fresh. I was still focused. Like the car felt like it was in good shape, so like I could keep pushing. And honestly, like up to that point to where you were giving me updates on time, like I was not driving the car hard.
Yeah,
And like the
just
track,
taking care of it.
yeah, the track wasn't rough. And what's crazy about it, at that many cars driving on it for so long, the majority of the track was flat. Like there wasn't a ton of places to tear the car up, which is crazy because so many people did tear their cars up.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, six hours in, it literally looked like I-20,
Like smoothed out.
black, smoothed out. Like
so much
looked
tire
like
on it.
It looked like interstate.
Yeah.
That track
but
looked
like
prime.
but like
later in the day.
Louisiana interstate because there's potholes. out there.
Kind of like a little bit
It's still a
rough.
little bit
Some
raggedy.
asphalt missing, but still flat.
Dude, and I remember driving 2 hours probably and like just driving by myself.
Not seeing nobody. And the
Not
track
seeing
is only
nobody.
like 16, 17 miles long.
Yeah.
And for you not cross paths with nobody for that long.
Dude, I was out there by myself, like I was getting bored. Like, come on, somebody like come up behind me and pass me and let me chase you for a little bit or let me catch somebody. But that's a testament to like the farther the race went on, like people were freaking dropping out.
Yeah, it was getting
Like,
less and less.
They didn't come prepared or they made mistakes or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was kind of a good thing too. You know, you're out there for so long and
So you're like no dust, you just flowing.
yeah, you don't see a bunch of cars, so you're like, man, I'm still going. Like I got to be doing all right.
Bro, I can't drive like that by myself like that, just moving along, because my mind will start wandering. The crazy stuff that I think about during a race, even some of our desert races when we get out on those long roads, bro, I'll be thinking about, man, a cheese pizza, dude. I wish they had delivery out there.
Just thinking about some nonsense.
And then I get off on this track of like when I start thinking, man, it'd be sweet if they had delivery. I was thinking, bro, what if we opened delivery service in race cars and like we chased people down and gave them pizza in their car, bro, dude. And I'm just like, what am I doing? What am I thinking about?
Thinking about stuff you should not be thinking about at that particular time.
Not in the middle
If
of a
I'd have known
race.
you think about stuff like that while we're racing,
You've been like,
But
yeah,
they-
for him to go that long and be by himself and have to pee that bad,
man.
bro. D didn't say nothing on the radio except like we would call him and be like, "Hey man, how's the car doing? Oh, it's doing great, but I really got to pee." And then 45 minutes later, "Hey, everything doing all right? You know, you're this far behind, blah blah." He's like, "Yeah, I'm doing great, but man, I gotta go. Like I gotta go." And for him to go that long by himself, I'd have pulled over. I literally would have pulled over. I have pulled over.
That wasn't an option.
I've pulled over.
The only option was peeing in my fire suit. And like I wanted to do that because that was the worst I've ever had to pee
Yeah.
ever in
Yeah.
my entire life. But like I made the mistake of not wearing a condom catheter.
Yeah.
But like the game plan was not for me to be in the car for that long. Like I was supposed to have a break. And then they come over the radio. Oh, we're just gonna give you a splash of fuel and send you back out. So I was like, all right, I gotta pee, but whatever. I wasn't gonna get out of the car.
This was after his first run. Like he drove 2 hours, 2.5 hours. He pulls in. He's like, I gotta pee. Nah, bro, you're staying in.
So, and everybody knows that's like you were anticipating, like, finally I get out here and I can pee.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, we're going to send you out. And you're like, oh, man, all right, I guess. I mean, you really, what can you say?
But you know how it is when you get in your mind, all right, cool. Like my run's over. I get to get out and pee. You start kind of relaxing a little bit and you feel it coming on.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're like, no.
And like I knew I was gonna be in the car for when I started driving, I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours. I was like, I can hold it. That ain't that long. I don't need to wear a catheter. I just won't drink anything and I'll be fine. Man, it wasn't 30 minutes into getting in the car. I was like, oh man, I kind of got to pee a little bit. And then I get out of the car 8 hours later.
Bro, it was so long.
It got so bad that like I just would forget about it, and then it would come back worse than before.
With a vengeance.
Yeah.
First pit stop, he comes in after his drive. He's got to pee. He tells us he's got to pee, but we're like, nah, man, you got to stay. And he's like, cool, no problem. I'll make it happen. He comes back in for the next pit stop after another 2.5 hours. So he's in there 5 hours in the car. Now it's Rachel's turn to jump in the car before Jubal closes. And so Rachel goes to jump in. Dustin has to get back in co-driver's seat. And like, so he starts kind of walking off by the trucks like he's fixing to pee and like we're fueling up. And so somebody grabs him by his fire suit and like, you're not going nowhere. We're up to 4th place. Like you're getting in the car and we're keeping racing. Still don't get to pee. So he goes 2.5, and then probably 3 hours because she took it to finish 8 hours having to pee.
Yeah. My first 2.5, and then another 2.5, and then her 2.5. So what is that? 7.5, and then
I'm not good at math, but
30 minutes.
a long time.
A long time.
I'll tell you, those last couple hours were misery.
Hindsight, I feel bad now because I strapped your lap belts.
Ooh,
and I
pulled them
know I
tight.
tightened them down.
Hold them tight. Speaking of lap belts, guys, I'm going to give you something right now. This is something we're going to start with this podcast, and we're going to call it the pound for pound, okay?
Oh, here we go.
The only reason I didn't pee, for the record, I didn't pee on myself is because it was super cold.
I had to pee on myself.
I
No
can't
doubt.
do that. I've tried, and it's like physically impossible.
To pee on yourself?
Yeah, like I think I've had
I peed on myself
something
last
happened
week.
when we were desert racing, and I was like trying. I was like, go, all right, just go. It's all right. And like something so unnatural about it, I couldn't.
I wore a condom
literally
catheter at
couldn't.
Rally Raid at the one we did here in town, and I couldn't do it.
I don't know. Ask DJ what it's like. He peed on himself just a
I
couple
know.
weeks ago.
At the Parker race, I peed on myself. They wouldn't stop because we get in the truck and get going for like 8 9 hours. And I kept telling them I've got to pee.
Well-
And I was like, well, I'll make it to the truck. So I peed on myself.
No,
Hold on,
no,
you,
no, no,
hold on,
no,
you
no.
pissed.
In the
Throw man.
truck?
in his-
Peed on
his-
yourself in the truck, not a
Or
race.
It was a wet spot like this.
Yeah, so I squirted a little.
But he tells the story a little bit differently. Like, he waits until he is about to pee on himself before he's like, all right, man, we got to stop. And we're like, all right.
Because he's the one that's critical of anybody that's like, hey, I
know.
got to stop.
I know.
That's what it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
I try to hold out till
Exactly.
somebody else. But for you, D, this week on the podcast, pound for pound, not because you did good at the race, but you did, but because you held your pee for 8 hours. And what we got for you? Let me just tell you.
What on earth?
Let me just give you the rundown.
What in the world?
World Championship belt. You look on this side. Whoa.
Let me just feel
You
it.
look on this side. Yee.
Oh,
All right,
dang.
all right.
You look on this side. S3
S3,
Nation.
number one.
You look in here, and it says, what does it say? Undisputed champion, no regrets.
All right, I'm wearing it.
Oh, man.
Dude, how fitting is that?
Man.
It's impressive.
So that's yours. You're the pound for pound this week on the podcast. Until somebody else does something cool, then you got to give it up.
Somebody's got to dethrone me.
Somebody's got to dethrone
That's
you.
pretty good, sweet.
man.
I'm not
Good
holding my
luck.
pee for 8 hours to dethrone you, I can tell you that.
So you're going to need to wear that to work tomorrow, okay? All right.
Deal.
You need to take care of that.
Are you going
about
to
to
snap every snap?
I was about to tell y'all I'm wearing this to work tomorrow.
Be the pound for pound for the week.
I think you got to choke slam anybody that tries to touch it.
Probably going
I think at any time there can be a what is it called? A mutual combat.
Yeah, that's right. Some states got mutual combat. That's legal. It's agreed combat.
I'll be honest, for y'all to dethrone me, y'all gonna have to do something sweet. I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm probably gonna be holding on to this for a while.
You think you'll have that one for a
Yeah.
while? Huh?
Are you just gonna be scheming on things to keep it?
Yeah.
You know what? Just pull it on, throw it over your shoulder like a champ at the fights. You know what I mean?
Like a WCW Monday Nitro.
Yeah, just like you know what's up. No. Show them the fat part. There you go.
Yeah.
Undisputed champion, no regrets. So D, pound for pound this weekend. But
Inaugural.
at the race, the Miller boys ended up killing it again. Bro, they're on a roll.
Man.
We were all kind of guessing and pulling for them, I think.
For sure. I mean, they obviously, they're King of the Hammers cars, they're short course cars. We build them. And so they also run a lot of our parts and designs and stuff on their cars that they ran out there. So for sure, we were pulling for those guys, if anybody. And sure enough, dude. And it's been a crazy year for them. They went 1-2 at Works last year. Mm-hmm. Who won Works last year?
Cody won it. I think they tied, but Cody had more wins, so he won it.
It went. Cody won 102 at Works last year, and then they turn around for King of the Hammers, qualify 1-2, but Hunter Miller wins King of the Hammers. They turn right around at the TexPlex, and Hunter Miller wins first in the championship, wins a $40,000 purse out at TexPlex.
Big payday.
Hunter Miller wins second, right?
Cody got
Cody got
third.
I mean, excuse me. So Hunter
got
first,
third.
Cody third, and then turn right around this race, and Cody goes first, $20,000 payout, and Hunter gets second. Them dudes been killing it, dude, killing it.
Dude,
Which-
they are at the peak right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
They're the team to beat for sure. Everybody's looking at them. People want to dethrone them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Hunter Miller's he's the king right now.
He is,
Man, they almost seem like they're unstoppable.
brother studs.
A lot of seat time, good equipment, good prep, good program,
Yeah.
good people behind them. But also, before the race, me and you were speculating. Kind of everybody thought Cody would be the one to tear up his car. Figured Hunter
And
would.
he almost did.
And he
would
almost
be,
did.
Yeah, it sounds
be
like
more-
he almost
Yeah,
did.
he lawn darted. That's right. That's right.
Sounds like he almost did. For sure, because he's so fast, and Cody Taylor, one of our guys, was driving with him, and Cody was super fast when he was racing UTVs. And it's a catch-22, right? The faster you go, the more likely are you tear something up, especially on 12 hours. Not that I was betting against them, but I thought, it would be checkers or wreckers for them. They were either going to win that thing or they're going to wad it
No, it
up.
was an honest speculation. We were like, what do y'all think is going to happen this weekend? Big race. But also, story in itself is Cody hasn't been in a side-by-side in how long?
Since 2016.
That's Cody
long
Taylor.
time.
Since Cody Taylor.
And
he
has
raced.
never driven an X3.
Never been in an X3 until 3 weeks ago. I think y'all pre-ran King of Hammers.
Yeah.
And he drove in Cody's, Cody Miller's car, and was like, man, these things are impressive. Went to TexPlex last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, the weekend before the race, and ran 2 tanks or 3 tanks of fuel through the car just to get practice. First time ever in the car driving it like that.
And he got in the car, and did they know kind of where they were when he got in the car?
Yeah, they were obviously leading the race
So,
for sure.
so he even held that gap and getting in the car that fresh, not
He was-
driving, just
Impressively quick.
Yes. Yeah.
For not driving in that long and going from an old Turbo Maverick that whatever suspension and horsepower it had to an X3 that
the biggest
is
thing is
leaps
the
and bounds.
feel of the car. No one can do
yeah.
not even comparable cars.
No,
So he
not
hops in
even
the thing
comparable.
and
Dude, he's a
holds
stud,
the
man.
lead.
He did good.
And it wasn't like there was fast guys behind him.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
fast. That's crazy.
Kyle Hart and
Kyle Chaney.
Cheney, dude, were right on them all day. They ran 1 and 2, and Hunter Miller, it ain't like he's no slouch. you
No,
know?
not at all.
I actually picked him as the favorite to win. But like Cody Taylor, he's a super fast guy, right? Like, don't matter how long he's been out, what he's on or in, he's gonna be competitive. He's gonna be
drive.
fast. But I never would have thought he'd have been able to run that pace to win that 12-hour race. So I told him, I was like, man, that's very impressive what you did. I was like, good work.
Yeah.
You earned that.
Yeah, they put it together for sure.
Yeah, he's always had natural talent and pretty disciplined. So
Yeah.
that wasn't a surprise. But that's wild.
Them
That's
guys
crazy.
are doing good, man. Doing good
That's
for
awesome.
sure. And then Hunter Miller had a crazy battle. So, Colin Truitt, that kid is, dude, I don't know what he's got in that RS1. I don't know how he does it.
He said it's
he
stock,
says it's stock.
everything.
Bro,
I've asked him.
wheels it, a little RS1 all day. I think he had a clean race, didn't he?
Yeah, yep. Him and Corbin Leverton from Works had a super clean day.
Ran that RS1, clean race all day, and they were killing. They had worked their way. Whenever Cheney broke the rear stub shafts, and him and Kyle Hart went out Hunter stopped, and we had to change a drive shaft for Hunter to get him back out of there. So he was at about a 10-minute deficit.
This is what's crazy to me. Y'all told me that, so I heard, hey, so-and-so won. This was the gaps. And then y'all told me that this dude changed axles and a drive shaft and an X3. And I don't know how many people have done that, but if you're at your shop by yourself, you're ordering pizza, you're trying to call all your friends and not tell them what you're doing, just get them to come hang out. Because, like, that's a job. That ain't like, and y'all told me the pit stop time was how fast?
It was like 11 minutes to change a rear left axle. And so Cody Taylor Cody Miller and one of their guys changed the rear left axle. And me, Manny, and Kyle Chaney's guy changed the drive shaft. And it was like 11.5-minute pit stop. It was insane.
If I have to change the drive shaft, I'm calling Manny and paying Manny.
Yeah, for sure. Drive shaft is what you call a big job.
That's like almost leading the race to going, there goes our race. Like
100%.
That's insane.
It almost seems like Cody Miller owes y'all for that win. Like,
it was a FaceTime call that me and you had, and I said, so hold on. It sounds like D, Cody, and Cody. Oh, y'all split the money now.
Yeah, I feel like it's time. I kind of feel like it's time to split things up. And so we got him changing out on the track, but when he did, Colin Truitt took over second place. And so, like, it was a mad scramble for the end, and him and Colin were for sure battling. And what's insane, dude, and it's a testament to how good of a racer Hunter Miller is, and like how he can identify the pace that he needs to run going into the last lap, and they're only like 20 minutes laps, and it's hard to make up time on a pro guy. Colin Truitt's a good driver. He won the championship in naturally aspirated pro last year. He's a stud, and he wheels that RS1. Going to that last lap, he had a 1.5-minute lead, and they told Hunter that. Said, this is it. Like, you got to pull it out, put it on the table, and let them see what you got. And in that last lap, dude, he chased him down, and 3 turns from the finish line, he took over the lead and passed Colin Truitt to take second for that 12-hour race.
So this is at the end of the race. The car's not fresh.
Clapped out.
He's not fresh, and he's going to run a pace to make up 1 minute in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And sacrifice third.
Yeah. Sacrifice third to go for second.
He's like, hey, so it's checkers.
So he's
I don't
going
care
for
about
broke.
being on the podium. I'm gonna try to catch him, run him down, and gets at least
going
second.
for broke. And that's after, I think he ran, his first stint was maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then his co-driver ran 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, and Hunter stayed in the car the rest of the time because they were having problems with the drive shaft, and I think they were
Front diff, right?
Front diff. They were laboring the front diff, so they were trying to make it all the way. So Hunter stayed in that car for easily 8 or 9 hours.
But y'all said Hunter tells y'all the story afterwards, and you're like, bro, how'd you catch him? I'm like, man, he was just cruising. When I ran up on him, I kind of blew past him. So Colin's going to have to let us know, like, dude, what were you doing? Were you saving the car? Did you think he had it in the bag? Like,
that is true.
Was he having car trouble?
I would like to hear his perspective. I would like to hear what.
I'll message Colin right now.
I would like to hear what Colin has to say because he's
Colin
super.
Logan.
Because he's super fast. And going into that last lap, Hunter did say that. He said
Take
when
your
he
shirt
called
off
him
and FaceTime him.
he said going into that last lap when he called him, he seemed to be going a little slower. And then all of a sudden ran right back up on Hunter. And so he may have just been giving it all it had right at the end. And so, Hunter squeaked it out, man. So Cody Miller and Hunter Miller went 1-2 again. Dude, they're studs, man.
But I can tell you,
crazy.
On that long of a track, if my crew told me, hey, you got a 1.5-minute lead and I've been running pro pace all day long, I think I would continue whatever pace I was running.
I mean,
yeah.
Now, they also, like, if you look at lap times, you can tell they were starting to get a little bit slower as it got darker. Hunter's times picked up
Got faster.
minutes per lap. Insane.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've ridden behind Hunter and I've driven against Hunter. The dude can wheel a car
crazy corner speed,
unbelievably.
man. Yeah, he's got
Never
crazy.
loses momentum. So for him to cut that time, I mean, I 100% believe he was just driving the wheels off of that car.
It had to be the last lap, but they lapped us on the last lap at night. But they came through, and I could see his amber lights coming up behind us. So I was like, and Rachel was driving, so I was like, all right, Rachel, get over. And I could see lights behind him. So like we got over, and boom, I didn't know it was Hunter or Cody or whoever. So they fly by, and then Colin Truitt flies by right behind him, and they're like this
bumper to bumper.
And like I didn't know it was Colin Truitt at first. So I was like, dang, this RS1 is fast keeping up, because like he was not getting away from Hunter at all. Like he was running his pace like half a car length behind him
in the dark.
in the dark, like in the vet track. So like it was right before the finish.
Yeah. And that's impressive, too, for him to be running that pace in an RS1 against Hunter in his X3.
For sure.
He can drive that RS1.
And I guarantee you, dude, on a 12-hour race, there may have been 10 seconds between them. They came across the finish line, and that's on a 12-hour race. It's crazy, dude. The guys are getting so fast, man, and it's so competitive now in the UTV racing. It's crazy, and it is fun to watch whenever they're running like that.
Man, who would have thought that you could run a side-by-side that hard for 12 hours?
That's what I was about to say. The pace y'all saw initially in the race and stuff, do y'all think the cars are going to make it? 12 hours is a long time, dude. I mean, y'all have a car that is a lot of planning, months of like figuring out how to build it to get it to hold it for the desert races. And so this pace is a little more aggressive, right? Breaking in the corners, everything's harder on suspension. But one of the key things y'all talked about was like hubs and bearing carries, everything that gets G'd and corner loaded.
Yep.
But like everybody's pace was running, would y'all start picking people like, man, I don't know if the car's going to make it running like that?
Man, actually, they were surprisingly slow out there, and I think everybody had gotten in their mind, like, most people don't realize what it takes to save a car for 12 hours.
That's what I was getting at. Like, y'all told me, and we've desert racing and gotten close to podiums, we're like, dude, we didn't think we were even in the race. You were running so slow when you think back on it. But that's the pace and the discipline it takes to finish a race that long. That's what's crazy.
And that's what was going on whenever the fastest guys, Cody Miller, Hunter Miller, Cheney, Travis, a couple of those other guys come through. Like, you could tell they didn't know what that balance was yet, and, like, they were just starting to get in their rhythm and taking care of the car because they weren't going – like, they were going slow. It was a high-paced trail ride at best.
And it was odd to see, and I think that's what happened at the end of the race with Colin because they're running 20, 21, 22-minute lap times, but they're running a conservative 70 to 80%. So when Hunter turned it on to 100%, and cut that much time off, huge difference in his laps at the end of the race compared to what they ran all day long.
Yeah.
What's crazy is to see people's different perspectives on how to run that race. Like some people like us, for instance, like I approached it a lot like desert racing. Right. Like we probably overbuilt the car, probably overprepped it, but I wanted to make sure that the car would last 12 hours. Talking to other people who didn't have that same game plan, like Nick Burnham, for instance. He said they finished the car like a few nights before.
Oh, man.
And, like, he never even drove it. And
I can hear him now.
Bruh.
Talking to him the day before that Friday, he was like, oh, DH, we're bull crapping. He's like, what kind of pace you going to run? I was like, I don't know, probably like 60 or 70%. And I was like, what about you? Probably like 90%.
I'm a back off 10%.
I was like, what? I was like, I don't know if that's such a good idea. I was like, what do y'all have, like what all stuff do y'all have? He's like, nothing.
Literally
no
nothing.
Tires, no wheels. He's just like, the car, if it makes it, it makes it. If it
Nothing.
doesn't.
Trailer.
He did not even bring a spare tire.
Oh, no?
Trailer.
Not one spare
That's it.
tire.
Did he finish?
Trailer. No.
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 Not that they didn't have a good showing because they were
Nick-
fast.
Yeah, they was moving.
Him and Dylan were really fast in that car. But
Dylan who?
Sinclair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were moving.
The Southern Boys.
Yeah. So I mean, they were driving the car. Like matter of fact, I didn't even know that was them in the car for a long time until I finally saw Nick around it when they went through the pits. I was like, golly, who is that RS1? I mean, they were driving the car,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they had a bearing carrier fail or a wheel bearing or something like that. Fail at, I don't know, 9-10 hour mark.
They was getting it, though. I seen him come through. Nick
They were-
had it turned up for sure. He was running short course pace.
So he's the one that tore up the bearing carrier?
Hundo%.
Yep, he was.
Hundo%.
But that just shows you, like, different people's different approach to a race like that. Like, it was a bold
move,
for sure.
Bold move, Cotton, for sure.
Bold move
And
for
not
sure.
only that, like guys in the desert cars, in the short course, hucking those desert cars.
Those big, heavy cars?
Yes. And this one, they call it the vet track, which I think used to be a motorcycle track, if I'm not mistaken. So the jumps aren't exactly designed for side-by-sides. The top pro guys, they could hit them. Cody, Hunter, Colin, Cheney, all those guys could hit the jumps and do well on them. But those desert cars were hitting that spot, and I think Van Beekem had a little, like, pucker moment, and I know Alex Nichols did in his desert car, where it was like, oh, my God, there's no reason for these cars to be on this track. Not this part of the track, doing what they're doing.
It was fun to watch, though. I'll be honest with you. It was cool not to be in the car for a day and just pit with everybody and get to watch the racing. Dude.
Super low key, relax, and
man.
just get to watch it unfold.
It was a
Man, I hate I
blast.
missed that.
So fun. For sure. I wish they would do it a couple of times a year. I think if they space it out about 6 months a year, it would be doable for a lot of people, and I think they would get into it, dude. It was a great time. It ran really smoothly, like start, pits, them taking care of things, getting cars off the track, like super smooth, man.
Yeah, I hope they do some longer races because I remember we used to do rally raiding with y'all, and that was cool. The longer races and figuring out the strategy and getting the car to
is
survive. So that's pretty cool.
Y'all have to do it next year.
Yeah.
For those of y'all that didn't drive, like,
I'm doing it because
Yeah,
it was
for sure.
miserable. Like, I love pitting. It was so much fun. You know, all of our guys down one row of the pits, and we're running back and forth pit. Every time the car pulls in, we're chasing it down to pit it. But sitting there on the fence watching all those cars for 12 hours, I was miserable. I wanted to be on the track so bad.
I feel like we put together a couple of S3 WKP teams for next year. We got enough people we can run 2 teams in a single pit. We
And
can
just
do that.
put 2 strong cars together in teams
We
and
can
have a
do
good
that.
pit strategy.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, I'm super
I feel
down
like
for
we
that.
put a good car together.
We almost went and trashed out
Bro.
my new car. We were at dinner
So the night
over sushi.
it always happens over sushi. This is how it works out. The night. So we were leaving Friday night to drive down there. Me and Josh got a hotel room. And so me and Quinn go have dinner, have sushi on Thursday night. And we're sitting there and he don't even know about the race. He was like, "Oh man, what are we doing this weekend?" And I was like, "Oh, actually, we're going to that 12-hour race." He's like, "Oh yeah, TexPlex race?"
Bro, everything we're so busy, everything sneaks up on us. It gets planned on Friday, Thursday or Friday, so that's nothing new.
And so I was like, yeah, man, that's this weekend. It takes place Dustin, Julian, everybody's racing. It's like, I'm going to cruise out there and watch. Bree needs a piece of sushi and sits there, and I'm like, oh, dang, I can see where his mind is going.
Well, our cars haven't been together in so long. I haven't done anything. I'm like, man.
He's got that brand new 2020 Can-Am X3. Brand new. Rode it one time. He takes a bite of sushi. He says, "Bro, did we race my new car this weekend?" And I'm like, that 100% stock, showroom stock car.
dead serious.
Oh, yeah. Bro, and just starts going, and he's like, "Oh, man, I mean, we could bolt a cage on it tomorrow. Like, if you'll help me swap the wheels and tires and put my beadlocks on there, like, we can race that thing this weekend." Dude, I was like, man, we do not. That's the worst.
No, that's
I
not.
was
No,
gonna
you
say-
got to impersonate me. Let me show you. He takes a bite of
honest.
his sushi and he's like, "You know what? I'm not going to try to talk you into it. But, yeah, I'm not going to try to talk you into it. But if you want to do it, let's do it."
Yeah.
That's exactly what I
He
said.
pulls his phone out and he texts Manny. He's like, "Hey, do we have this part and this
Oh,
part?"
yes,
this
sir.
So he goes,
part?"
Oh, yes, sir.
And
he goes,
Manny looks at his phone and is like, throws it
Ain't
to the
even-
side.
ain't even responding to that.
responding
about
to
the
that.
silver car?
Just any of them.
Yeah, that's the one that needed to go to the race.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
for sure.
God.
For sure.
So it was almost. Maybe we should have, but maybe we shouldn't have. I don't know.
Would have been crazy. So the last thing before we go, dude, I tell you all the time, and I show y'all some of this stuff. I get the most insane DMs from people, and I encourage people to send this stuff to me because it is off the chain. It's crazy because I'm sure y'all get them too. With us all working together, is people will send you stuff, not no caption. They don't say anything. They just send you stuff, and I don't even reply to them most of the time. Like I'll like them or laugh, but a lot of times I won't even reply to them. Y'all pick y'all's phones up. I know y'all seen me post this the other day, but y'all pick y'all's phone up and just look at this video that dude sent me in DMs the other day.
On Instagram?
Yeah, we're going to call this DJ's DMs, if you know what I'm saying.
Gosh.
So keep them coming. If y'all got some DMs, send them on. I want to see them.
Do I need to turn the volume down? on
Crank
this?
it up all the way to the moon.
I've seen the stuff people send you, and
It makes me uncomfortable sometimes.
all right, let's see what we got here. I'm already,
Oh, man, I
side
can't
by
hear
side
him.
related, so I'm down with it.
Bro,
Got
are
a
we
couple
getting this
dogs here. Oh,
He is chill.
that ain't a dog. What on earth?
That's no dog, sir.
Is that a purple earring?
That is the most Billy Ray Cyrus goat. Is that a goat or a sheep or what is
gotta be
that?
sheep.
I don't know, but he's leaned up on that door like Joe Dirt, hanging out that Camaro, got
Yes.
his arm propped up.
Bro, that's the most Kentuckiest waterfall I ever
Oh
seen.
my god!
Is that what would you call? What would we call this? What would we call this mullet that got DM to me? Is that a Texas tailgate?
No, I call that lamb chop.
So this dude, you gotta understand. This dude sent this to me, didn't say a word. Naturally, I get it because I've got the mullet and like they're sending it as a joke.
Yep.
But sends this to me, says nothing, just sends it to me, and then I'm like, I like it. And he's like, was just thinking of you.
That ain't weird.
Did you picture him sitting in a recliner in his underwear?
Did you tell him thank you?
No,
Because
I blocked him.
That's an awesome video.
No, you did not block him.
No, I did not.
But
block him.
honestly, like
That's cool.
you created this monster. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, you did do
Now, like Dustin Bad Like Jones is goes hand in hand with mullet. Like you think of one, you think of the other.
There ain't no difference. It is.
You created this monster, so I'm happy to see it. I like it. Matter of fact, I like what he sent you, and I'm glad he didn't say nothing about it.
Bro, and
man.
you know, like, farmers, bro, don't care about nothing like that.
No,
So
sir.
someone that took the time to cut their sheep like that, and that's not
My
not a
question is-
butchered mullet. Like, that thing is manicured. Like,
Mint.
it's... And then
Dude,
also
that's-
the
what does
personality.
the owner look like? Like whoever
You know.
cut that has something that's
He cut it like
equivalent
his
to
mullet.
that. Yeah, 100%.
But, bro, that's, like, super fresh. And not only that, are sheep all that chill? I don't think they're that
No,
chill.
he's super chill, laid back,
Yeah, I
and then
thought that
look at
was
his
mean.
sheep dog
Bro,
over
y'all
in the
never-
pasture seat.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Have y'all
Normally,
never-
yeah, that's not a good sheepdog.
No, or he's
Because
got
they-
his homie next to him. He don't worry about it.
They are off the chain when you put them on other animals.
Y'all never heard of long hair don't care, cuz? That sheep living that life.
Caring about nothing.
He's kicked back.
Dude, they spray painted it orange. Like, how did they get him to sit in the
Yeah.
Don't know.
in the side by side like this, like he's driving?
Looks like he should have a Virginia Slim and a
Bro, we're
like
gonna
a
have to-
banquet next to him.
We're going to have to start getting stuff like that framed and put on the wall.
Or we just get a pet
like it.
sheep and start cutting his into a mullet.
Yes,
I mean, it's got 5.4 thousand views, so
People been looking at it.
he's doing something.
that probably came from you sharing it.
Yes.
Bro, what on earth?
So that's it,
awesome.
boys. Wild speculation, pound for pound. DJ's DMs. I hope they keep sending them. I want to see some more crazy stuff. I encourage people to send stuff to me.
I encourage y'all to try to take this from me.
I'll figure something out.
Start scheming in the night. We'll figure something
We'll
out.
come up with something.
Yeah.
You better be ready to hand it off next time. So
Y'all gonna have to tear it off of me.
for me, that's it, boys. I'm going
All right.
to the house.
I'm kind of hungry.
Screw up time.
Yep. Sushi time?
Yeah, I'm kind of hungry.
Let's come up with some more
Bad
ideas.
ideas.
Bad ideas, sushi.
Over sushi.